Hello, everybody. My name is Nanette Kennedy, and I work with Humanities Team and the Evolution Revolution. And today is July 4th. And for people in the US, happy 4th of July. And we are reading The Only Thing That Matters by Neale Walsch. And Linda, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. There you go, Mary. Can you, in a nutshell, kind of tell Mirko what the book's basically about?
Synopsis.
Well, it's about the only thing that matters.
Good one. Good one.
I have read I read many books, but not this one. I think only one or two books I don't read, and this one I don't read.
So
but I'm curious to hear you, because my intention is to explore the beliefs of many people that there is a belief for many people and for many entrepreneurs with whom I am working, and the belief is the survival of the fittest. I spoke about this a couple of days ago with Neale in the integration program, and I said that this is not true for me. This, and not only for, and he was agree with me and say that the new belief is one for all and all for one. So I think this book can explain. And in this day I want to read this, but I can share with others, especially in business, especially with entrepreneur, that we can probably, I don't know how, we can change the way to do business. We can win, but without losers. That is I think is a new understanding also for me, because I want, if I can, I want to work winning, but without losers. This is my, I think that this book, the only thing that matters is not we have to survive. This is not the only thing that matters. We have to, I think we have to grow.
Yeah, survival actually has pretty little to do with it in the grand scheme of things. It's interesting. I'm also in that advanced integrations. I miss it a lot because I have other meetings at that time, but I'm there quite often. So I think the major thing for what we've read so far, because we're going to start with chapter 11, is there's one key thing in this book that was, I think, stated in a way that most people have never heard before, and that is that our bodies don't die. So I would really encourage you to, if you can, to this next week or so, get caught up with where we are, because this is really intense teaching. It's not directly related to what you were just talking about, but what you were just talking about is going to immediately be shifted by what you find in this book. None of this, that idea that survival of the fittest, that it doesn't apply in life, and it doesn't apply in business either. There's way other principles to use that knock that right out of the park. So let's get started. We're on have you started the recording? You did, didn't you?
Yes, but I did want to say one thing. Once we
Okay.
get started, and Mary wants to say something too before we get moving here, but I have everybody put themselves on mute so that barking dogs and children, and not barking children, but barking dogs
Or
And-
barking children.
and children, or lawnmowers or whatever else, is not interrupting our program. So what were you going to say, Mary?
I wanted to say that, I mean, survival of the fitness is related in the extent that survival only matters if you believe the body dies. And, you know, in this, if you do catch up, and I highly recommend that as well, you know, it changes form. Like if it was buried to nourish plants and things, you know, like in the olden days, or like when some things die, you know, the body itself, or it becomes ashes or whatever. So that's the sort of key point, but do read and catch up. But the survival terror is generated because we all believe in death, right? The belief in death is what makes people go into that survivor terror mode. So if you change your understanding of death, it can change your understanding of life, right? So the other thing I wanted to say is that economically, business-wise, what you're talking about as far as the models nowadays is like this zero-sum game, right? Where somebody has to lose in order for you to win, a competition model. But what we really need, is I was an economics major actually, so I get it from that perspective, is a cooperative model, right? If we all work together, we can come up with better outcomes for everyone versus me having to win and you lose. So that's all I wanted to add. And now I vote for reading. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. That was
good.
brilliant.
That was
And-
good.
and
hi,
also-
Nancy. Welcome.
And also, we are creative by nature because we are each individuated aspects of divinity. The whole, when you really get connected with that understanding, the whole model of competitive business falls away. Anyway, are we ready to start?
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse
So,
me, only one thing. I want to ask you only one brief thing, because I spoke nearly every day with entrepreneurs, also women entrepreneurs, a successful entrepreneur. And in the last days, I read On with God by Neale Walsch, and there is explain what you are saying now. But the model of these entrepreneurs that I am talking about is still competition. And they say there is healthy competition and unhealthy competition. But for me, this is not true, because competition is not yet healthy now, today. This
competition's never been necessary, right? It's the ego that thinks we have to compete. So,
yes.
Yeah, competition is, it's a 3D model. It is not an awakened model. So I'm an entrepreneur and I don't compete at all. I just run my business from my heart. I don't even have a budget. I've never had a budget. I mean, you know, I'm 20 some years into this business. I'm number 4 on TripAdvisor for our area. And I've never had a budget. I run it from my heart. There's a whole different model out there, and the world is very asleep to this whole subject that we're talking about. Very asleep.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
you're leading, and that's wonderful.
Ariana, were you going to say
Yes,
something?
I would like to say something because I'm a professor at economy. university, this model of competition is changed, and today there is this, I don't know, Mirko, if you are in enterprise, this business is changed by a stakeholder theory and conscious capitalism, healing organizations, organization of love. There are some authors which promote this new theory. Stakeholder theory is not new, it's some decades, but this other theory. There are some authors, I don't know how to pronounce, Raj Sisodia, I think, and some other, which this spiritual teaching put in economy. And this is alive now, and there is this theory which is emerging. So I think that also the business world is changing in this sense.
Can you please
Always.
write these authors of this
Yes.
theory in the chat,
Yes, yes.
please? Thank you.
No,
Right.
yes, if I found, yes, I can. I
Yeah,
have
and
here in the-
anybody that
So-
hasn't done so, please put your email address if you want to
I found
into the chat room.
capitalism.org. I'll put that in the chat.
Thank you.
And then there was,
Because I don't understand all the things that you're saying. I go, for me, it's better if you write right now.
And the humanities team has a,
I was just
Very-
putting it in the chat.
well, go ahead, put it in the chat. Humanities team has a very
Conscious
good
business.
program for conscious business. And in fact, it's being updated as we speak and should be available. I'm sure there'll be some very interesting, there's always been interesting stuff that comes out of there. But anyway, so if you want to get a recording of this call afterwards, you can put your phone number in the, or not your phone number, because I'm not calling you. Put your email address in the chat window. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Linda.
Well, I think this is great. And Ariana, thank you so much for sharing. And I didn't mean to say that there's nobody in the world that's awake to this in the business world, but the business world in general is still way, way far behind. You know, you can come into a spiritual community and find people that are much further along in this understanding that we're gaining. But in business communities, it's very difficult, as it is in government. And that's where I'm always pushing the edges, is in government. And you find it's asleep, totally asleep. So, I mean, but there are the people within it that are starting to wake up. And so that's how it happens, right? It all happens through individuals in each of these different realms waking up and bringing the new energy to new systems. And the whole planet is we're reworking everything, right? Everything from health to capitalism to, education, everything's up for review and growth. So with that, we are reading, it's from Conversations with Humanity, Book 2, The Only Thing That Matters. We're on chapter 11, which starts on page 51. However, because of the way that chapter starts, I'm actually going to back up to page 49 and start. If you have a printed copy or even a Kindle copy, you'll see where it says a soul knowing. I'm going to start right there in the middle of the page to give us a little transition. So when we pick up with chapter 11, he's talking about what we just read. A soul knowing, going the long way is not the same as going the wrong way. This is the practical implication of the free agency of the body and the mind, what some religions call free will. And now you know why all of this has been examined here in such detail. This is about much more than the esoterics of universal cosmology. This has an on-the-ground, implications in everyday life. The good news is that while it may appear that you are not getting anywhere when viewed from the perspective of body and mind alone, this is not true. You are getting somewhere. But because you have strayed from the path and wandered into the woods, you are now getting to where you are going the long way. Yet going the long way is not the same as going the wrong way. This is very, very important for every human being to remember. Through this awareness, hope can replace despair. And what is wonderful, and that is wonderful because while despair is blind, hope has eyes. Now you can see that others have strayed from the path and found themselves deep in the woods just as you. Yet those who have gone before have trampled down the underbrush and inadvertently bent some of the branches in their rush to return to the easier trail, showing you, if you look closely enough, the way back to the path. So it may seem as if you are lost, yet you can find your way again if you keep moving forward, but start paying attention to the signs along the way. The challenge, of course, is to notice them. This is one of them. Are you noticing it? Are you paying attention to what your awareness is showing you here? Chapter 11, the most important question of your life. Dear one, please understand that what you have just heard is not just wordplay. It is a statement in the language of metaphor of the human condition as experienced by many, many people, perhaps most people. Some people have referred to the experience of taking the long way to where they wish to go as feeling lost or without direction. And this can happen at any time during one's sacred journey, early or late, and more than once. Now let's add to the metaphor here so that through some further imagery, you can get an even clearer picture of just what is going on. Life Path Metaphor, Part 2. Think of the journey you are taking as a hike, not only through the woods, but woods that cover mountainous terrain. While this hike is uphill and is challenging, there is that clear path that can make the challenge exhilarating and enjoyable. Not all challenge has to be negative or arduous experience. Certain challenges in life can be exciting and wonderfully rewarding. Yet a journey that is painful or arduous is what you may encounter if you stray too far from the path and try to make your way to the top of the mountain through the thick forest. What you would really use now is a Sherpa. Enter the soul. On this hike, your soul is leading the way for good reason. It has already been to the mountaintop, so it knows how to get back, and its way is the fastest way. In fact, your soul is at the mountaintop now. That's right. The soul is not really going anywhere. It already is where the body and the mind seek to go. The soul, like God, is already and always whole, complete, and perfect. It requires and needs nothing. It simply chooses to know itself in its own experience. In this, it is exactly like God. In fact, it is God individualized. The totality of you, that is your body, mind, and soul combined, is thus both the journeyer and the destination. Part of it is journeying, and part of it is already where it is going. The purpose of the journey is for the totality of you to be able to experience what the part of you called your soul already knows of you. a soul knowing. There is more than one way to the mountaintop, and there is no right way to get there. By dividing yourself into three parts, you can both know and experience at the same time your true identity over and over again, your body and your mind assuming different forms from lifetime to lifetime, even as your soul retains eternally its original and only form. The purpose of the body and the mind taking different forms is to provide the soul with endless differing expressions through which it can experience cyclical reunification with God, even as the body and the mind experience repeated reunifications of the soul with the soul. What the soul is doing at the macro level, the body and the mind are doing at the micro level. It is all the same journey taken by every life form, each with its own way across the cosmos. On your journey, the soul is technically not leading you to your destination, it is calling you there. The soul is going to keep showing the way, and by cutting through the thicket from the other end as it connects with your mind and body, creating the way. But as mentioned, it will never insist that you take the way. This is because your soul knows that there is more than one way to the mountaintop, and that there is no right way to get there. There may be some ways that are faster than others, but faster doesn't mean right. It simply means faster. Faster also does not necessarily mean less challenging. It does mean more direct, with more meaningful progress in each step, and therefore less time and energy expended. And of course, the term faster is used here within the context of Earth time, meaning the number of months or years of being human that it takes for the sacred journey of any particular individual to reach completion. And completion, dear friend, is what the journey is all about. Completion is the goal. It is the plan. It is the aspiration, the wish, and the desire. It is the target, the aim, the intention, and the ambition. It is the brass bell. It is the Holy Grail. What needs to be made clear now is how to reach completion. What does it look like? What does that look like? If the agenda of the soul is to reach completion on its sacred journey, and it is, there is only one question in life that is truly important. How does what I am doing right now serve the agenda of my soul? End of chapter.
Thank you, Linda. That was very, very beautifully read, as usual. Anybody like to start the conversation? And welcome Ann Derby and Evelyn.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Joanne. When we were talking about the body does not die, it talks here about the soul retaining eternally. Soul retains eternally its original and only form. So is that the body we're talking about that doesn't die? The form of the soul?
I would say yes.
That, you know, we come and go in these forms in order for the soul to have differing expressions. and then to create, the experience of coming back to God all over and over again.
I don't remember, Joanne, were you here for the chapter about the snow and the trees? Because
oh, maybe, I don't know.
that
I don't remember that.
That refers back to how, the snow is the water and the vapor and the steam. It changes form. So it never is really gone. And the same thing with the tree, like the tree eventually falls down in the forest, but before that happens, it has dropped its seeds and other trees have sprung up. And are those the same tree or different trees? So it's really applying to the physical body in the way that he talks about it. And, if you think about it, we think that this physical body dies, it does, it stops breathing. But like the physical thing itself still exists. It's not like it ends when it stops breathing, right? So like, normally what would happen is it would be absorbed back into earth to nourish other things. So, I mean, the chapter where he talks about the body not dying, he is specifically talking about the physical body, and nothing ever dies. Everything changes form, right? Energy can't be created or destroyed. It just changes form. So that was really what that chapter was about. And that's why Linda was saying it's a difficult teaching, because we've always thought, like you're saying, the body dies, the soul goes on, but the body itself actually just changes form as well. So that's me speaking up with what I got from the Neale readings on that.
Thank you.
I'm thinking about if now thinking I would like to come in fastest way, the most fast way. But then I think, do I really want to go the most fast way, or I want to experience something here? Over.
I think about driving trips with my best friend, because we're both the kind who doesn't care if we get lost a little, because sometimes you see really interesting things along the way, and if I look at my life and my path and my soul's journey, I know that some of the interesting parts have been when I was not on the most direct path, but those parts have all still really contributed. So for me, wherever I am is good. If I'm going the direct way, that's awesome. If I'm kind of dawdling, that's part of it too, and I'm good with that.
It's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
I concur. Most of you on this call may already know this, but a few days ago, my older brother died. And he always called me on my birthday, which was June 11th. And he didn't call, and I did think it was a little weird, but I didn't think it was so weird that I lost any sleepover. Because we talk at other times as well. But in this last year, we haven't talked that much. And at all. And just a few days ago, I got the message that he had died, and he had severe and a very long suffering bout with dementia. And in relative terms, 72 isn't that old. Um, when you were talking about, Mary, when you're talking about are the seeds of the tree that tree? Or is it, what is it? And I've thought about that chapter, the snow chapter, a lot. And if you weren't with us when we read that chapter, it is thus far my favorite chapter in the book. So I think it's well worth reading, and it's chapter number, I think it was chapter 9.
Yes, it's chapter 9.
Okay, and what I was going to say about this snow chapter that we've become to call it the snow chapter. I read it since I heard about my brother, and it was really very calming and very peaceful and very powerful. Over.
I'm just reading this again here in chapter 9. The only thing there is continual transmorphication. Is that how you say that?
Mogrification.
Transformation. Mogrification. It is divinity, individual. You can't divide it, but made visible over and over again through the expression that we call life itself. So in a way, what I'm getting is that, your brother died, but life is still going on. It's like his body died, but the life is still here. I mean, it's like, I've heard this thing is that there's only one of us going on. There's only one thing going on here. There's only one of us,
Right.
And that, so the body goes away, but the life is like in you and in the trees and in other people around. It's always being made visible over and over again through life itself, through what we call life. So it's like looking for that essence in what's in life right now, what's in front of us. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
You are, and it's interesting because I've been hearing he had a really great sense of humor, and I've been hearing these funny things, and I know he's still here. I mean, I know his body has moved on, but his essence is definitely still here. And that to me is very comforting. And thank you for bringing that up, Joanna.
Joanne, it's just Joanne.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, Linda, you want to read on?
Sure. Chapter 12. A complete explanation of completion. That's it then. Completion of the sacred journey is the soul's agenda. It is only through the experience of the body, mind, and soul reaching completion of the sacred journey that the totality of you can fulfill the divine purpose. We have not spoken of that purpose yet. We will do so extensively in chapter 14, nor have we spoken of the only thing that matters, one thing at a time. Yet this much we know. The agenda of the soul, the sacred journey, and the divine purpose are all facets of the same diamond. The mind and the body daily cry out in bewilderment. There is so much to see. There is so much to do. There is so much to be pleasured by, to be afraid of, to get excited about, to worry over, to be concerned with, to spend time with. What should I be focusing on? What should I be paying attention to? It is the soul that daily answers the cry of the body and the mind by telling the totality of you what to focus on and pay attention to. The mind, the body and the mind, however, are not always convinced that this is the way to go. For one thing, the path does not always seem to the mind and the body to be as much fun and not nearly as much of an adventure as tromping through the uncharted territory of the woods on a snowy evening. Compared to this, the path may seem boring. Yet because the journey has been described as sacred, does not mean that one cannot seek and find pleasure and excitement in worldly pursuits. It does not mean that one cannot enjoy the thrills of life or grab all the joy that one can experience on a human level. In fact, just the opposite is true, because there will be less and less for you to be worried about, and eventually nothing at all for you to be afraid of. And you will at last be able to live your life to the fullest. Yet what is living life to the fullest? What does a full life look like? A life filled with achievement, with fame, with fortune, with the love of one's family, with children raised wonderfully and set off on a joyful path, with many things done and experienced? Just what exactly is a full life? It is a life that brings the greatest satisfaction, which transcends all of these things. It is a life that follows the path of the soul. A soul knowing. When essence becomes expression and expression becomes experience, the totality of you has known divinity. As you follow the path of the soul, you will find yourself doing many, if not all, of the things that you may have done if you had strayed from that path. But you will do them for a different reason, and thus in a brand new way, a way that produces the body and mind's full physical expression of the soul's metaphysical essence. When metaphysical essence become,
Could you read that again? That sounded really important. That whole
Okay.
little passage as you
Sure.
talk.
Yeah, as you follow the path of the soul, you will find yourself doing many, if not all, of the things that you may have done if you had strayed from that path. But you will do them for a different reason, and thus in a brand new way, a way that produces the body and mind's full physical expression of the soul's metaphysical essence.
So I'm wondering if what that means is being present, being in the now as you're doing these things. That's a way, sometimes I do things, and I'm just on automatic. I'm not even present when I'm doing it, washing the dishes, going, whatever. But if I really am present, then I'm doing it for a different reason. I'm not doing it just to get done. I'm doing it in order to experience that moment of my life. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Let me read the next paragraph. It might help. When metaphysical essence becomes physical expression, experience and awareness become one, and the totality of you has achieved completion. And when the totality of you achieves completion, you behold the greatest joy you could ever imagine, the bliss of knowing divinity flowing through you as you.
Mm, yeah. Whew.
Now, here is an important piece of information. This process is not a one-time thing. It can happen many times during a single life, physical life. It can, in fact, happen many times during a single day. Indeed, it is the soul's agenda to create the perfect conditions for it to happen in every moment and to make every moment a holy experience. That is a full life. To see the holy experience, a book describing the encountering of life in this particular way. The book is free for the downloading at cwgportal.com. You may have already known that the agenda of the soul is something to which you should be paying attention, but it might not have been made clear to you just how important it is to your personal earthly well-being. Yes, not just to your spiritual well-being, but to your physical, physiological, emotional, social, and even financial well-being as well. There is nothing in life that can bring you security, health, prosperity, happiness, and inner peace faster or more abundantly than the achieving of completion. This is, of course, the opposite of what you have been told. There are, you have been advised, many things to which you must pay attention. You have been told that to be happy in life, you need to get the guy, get the girl, get the car, get the job, get the house, get the spouse, get the kids, get the better job, get the better house, get the promotion, get the grandkids, get the gray hair, get the office in the corner, get the retirement watch, get the illness, get the burial plot, and then get out. You have been told that you need to obey God's commands, do God's will, follow God's law, spread God's word, and fear God's wrath. For when you face God's judgment, you will be begging for God's mercy, and depending on your offenses, you may not get it, but rather may find yourself condemned to everlasting and unbearable torture in the fires of hell. You have been told about the survival of the fittest, and that to the victor go the spoils, that the nice guy finishes last, and that the one with the most toys wins. That it's every man for himself, and that the end justifies the mean, that money doesn't grow on trees, and that you've been seen but not heard, and that you are not to color outside the lines, and that you've made your bed and now to lie in it. You have been told that there is only one way to heaven, and you better get it right, that it's us against them, and that you can't fight City Hall, that you should never raise your head above the crowd, that you can't have your cake and eat it too, that you should never count your chickens before they hatch. I'm tempted to add and only the strong survive or whatever to that list of Neale's. Your mind has been filled with many, many others messages that have created day-to-day reality so far removed from your real reason for being on earth that it is a wonder you find any joy or excitement in life at all. Now you're being told that the only thing that matters doesn't have to do with any of this. The missing puzzle piece revolves around how you reach completion on the sacred journey of the soul. Can this be true? It can, and it is. But don't worry. Going where your soul seeks to go will not deny you the good life. Completion of the agenda of the soul will get you everything your body and your mind signal to you that they desire to enjoy. This is not about giving up one aspect of life for another. Trust that. Pay attention to the soul's agenda and to what it takes to complete it, and the rest of life, not only what you desire, but all that you may imagine that you need, will take care of itself. it will take care of itself by itself. Or to paraphrase a far more eloquent statement, don't go around asking, what are we to eat? What are we to drink? Wherewithal shall we clothe ourselves? Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else shall be added unto you. The kingdom of heaven and the completion of the sacred journey refer to the same experience. The problem with both phrases is that no one has lately, if ever, explained or described to you what this experience is, how to achieve it. The kingdom of heaven is not a physical location. It is a state of being. It is, in fact, the state of being complete. And so it is perfect that the two phrases are used here interchangeably. It is literally heaven for humans to find themselves in a state in which there is nothing left to be, do, or have in any given moment in order to experience inner peace, total love, and absolute bliss. Because all that is and all that one could ever desire is fully present, fully expressed, and fully experienced right here, right now. You are complete. The agenda of the soul is to bring the totality of you to this very state so that the aspect of life that is called you may express, experience, reflect, demonstrate, and personify the aspect of life that is called divinity. This is your basic instinct. I'm going to pause here for a second and go let the dog in because he's just making way too much noise. I'll be right back.
So we've really lost contact with our basic instinct. When you read the next paragraph, at least I can say
Yes.
I'm back. Are we discussing?
Briefly, nothing. I mean, it was important, but it was very short.
Okay, go on.
Is everybody good with that? Okay.
Yes.
Let's go on.
Okay. Survival is the basic instinct of most chemical or biological life forms. It is what makes flowers turn toward the sun. It is what makes birds fly to warmer climates. It's what makes turtles recede into their shells. It's what makes lions roar and rattlesnakes shake their rattle. Survival, however, is not, however, the basic instinct of human beings, nor of any sentient creatures in the cosmos who have evolved into self-consciousness. For such beings, the basic instinct is divinity. A soul knowing the kingdom of heaven is not a physical location, it's a state of being. If your basic instinct were survival, you would run away from the flames of a burning house. But you run into the flames because you've heard a baby cry. In that moment, your survival is not the issue. If your basic instinct were survival, you would turn away from the man with the gun. But you stand between the man and the person he is assaulting. In that moment, your survival is not the issue. Something deep inside of you, something you cannot describe or name, calls you to such moments to demonstrate at the highest level who you really are. People who have done this, when interviewed by newspapers later, never put it that way, of course. They say they simply acted on instinct. But it surely could not have been survival instinct, for their actions defied survival. Yet they had no fear, even though a thought of fear at the time, not even a thought of fear at the time, because who they really are knows that survival is not the issue. It knows that their survival is guaranteed. There are no questions about whether they will survive. The only questions are how, in what form, why, and for what purpose. These become, in moments of self-realization, life's only inquiries. And in moments of self-realization, the mind and the soul answer as one, instantly. As a human, your basic instinct is on display when the complete being that is you is completely remembered, recreated, reintegrated, and reunited with divinity. Even as the tiniest cell within you is a member of your body, so is every element of physical life a member of the body of God. When the mind's experience and the soul's knowledge combine to produce elevated consciousness, human beings choose to experience themselves once again as members of the body of God. They are thus said to have remembered. This is what is meant by completion. End of chapter.
Thank you, Linda. Anybody like to start?
I think it's great that we got to survival.
Yes.
I mean, we started the conversation was about survival, and then the last chapter, it's about survival.
Can I say one thing,
Yeah.
please? Because I think it is not a coincidence that I start this meeting
Right.
Right.
and now we are talking about my first question, because the chapter before this ask what this has to do with the agenda of my soul. I think this was the phrase. And so this meeting probably for me has to do with the agenda of my soul, because I think that the answer is not if we survive, but how we survive. This is the problem is that we make the wrong question. This is probably the thing that Neale is saying here. We make the wrong question, not the, and so we gave the wrong answer. For me, this is what this meeting has to do with the agenda of my soul.
Mirko, I didn't get you as you said the wrong questions. I don't think that. What do you exactly mean with the wrong question?
The wrong question is what I said at the start of the meeting is the survival of the fittest the purpose of life, like in my experience, is saying most people and most entrepreneurs. The wrong this is the wrong question, because the right question is how we survive, not if the fit survive, but how the fit the survive is. So if we survive hurting other people because we have to win and some other have to lose, like the survival of the fittest is saying, we are not living by the agenda of our soul. This is my my understanding. So we now today we, if you want to live following the agenda of our soul, we have to win, and also other have to win. This is a change for me in our way to make life and business.
Yeah.
Probably this is the answer.
Okay, I like that. Okay, I like that, Mirko. But on the other hand, I think I was now listening what you said, and I just thought for myself this the win-win principle, or the definition of it. I think it's even some years old. Then they brought this out. It also goes in this direction. But I think for myself, I first have to bring out of my mind, brain, the thinking of the situation as we did in the past and also in the present, that somebody has to win, because I was taught to do it like this, and now I understand that it's not the right way, for the good way. If when I go the way of my soul, then it means we can go together and we can leave the place of competition. But I think it's still in our minds, it's still very much present, because it's in all our culture and so on. It's very important that we, first of all, we take this weed out of our personal life. Complete.
Thank you.
So today I agree in the terms that what I see in my life, my past life, my today life, is that we are competing. But for me, this is not true. But we are competing for money. We are competing for love. We are competing for nearly everything, because this is our culture, and I think also my culture. But I never understand this culture, but I think I am in the minority. But I also think that I have had some success in my life, and this is the moment to redefine the word success, because like Neale said in the last retreat, about success is not about money, is not about possession, is about inner peace, is about happiness. And this has nothing to do with exterior world, exterior culture. But I realized that is very difficult to share with others, because you can't go around being without money, like Neale in his life for 1 year, being without money, without anyone. I think it's difficult to live, because I have lived in my life the highest of riches for my family, but in one moment life bring me one experience of losing everything, and losing everyone, and being without home, being without work. But I wasn't very I know that this is strange to say, but I wasn't sad or desperate, because in that moment I realized that I never have nothing, about nothing but me. I have me. And so from that point I began to restart my life. And today I am still here. I am healthy. I have a house, a roof. I have a work. I have problems, but I am successful because I am in peace. So success for me, like Neale said, it has nothing to do with money, with the competition. I really don't like very much competition, because when I win and another lose, I think that the other is a part of me. So I think we can make better in the future. We can make also the other win. I realize that is very difficult because, for example, you are all women here, and I can say as a man that, for example, when two men like a woman, there is competition. This is my experience. There is competition also if you say that you are a self-realized person, but you want the girl. And so how can you accept that there is one thing for two persons? In my experience, I lived also this from one part and the other. And I think that you can live also this without competition. I don't know what is your position, because you are all women. You can say. I don't like competition. I think that we have to find a new way to live without competition.
Yeah.
For money, for love. I think we can, but I don't know what is your opinion.
You have to let go. You have to be willing to let go of whatever it is you think you want. Know that
Let go.
You have to let go.
Let go.
So if there's two, or if for me, that's my experience, is that I have to just let go of what I think I need or I want, or my mind is telling me that I think I need or I want, that it's there. We have free choice, we have a choice to say, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to compete, or we have a choice to say, it's not for me, I'm letting go, if it's not coming this way. So I think that's something I have to exercise every day,
Mary, were you going to add to that?
Yeah, I think that if it's not coming this way is the really important part. I think for me, it has helped me a lot in life when I started thinking what's meant for me will come to me without me having to fight or compete. Like if it's and if it's not meant for me, no matter how hard I try, it won't come to me. That doesn't mean that you aren't open and don't try, smile at the cute girl and see if she smiles back, or if she's paying attention to the other guy, then it's okay, but it's like life is participating. It's not just about our struggle to get whatever, And it also helped me a lot to think that I don't always know what's really best for me. And that was brought home to me really clearly one time when I was trying to catch a spider that was in my shower to take it out so I could take a shower and not kill it. And it just hit me so hard. Like maybe sometimes in life, when I'm fighting so hard, it's really the divine trying to scoop me out of danger, And so it really changed my mentality around, surrender. It was that whole sticky concept that I never got. And now I really do get it, which is just sort of made so much more peace in my life. Just feeling like, what's for me will come. And if it doesn't come, it's not for me. And it's made a huge difference, not in terms of like, one of the things I didn't like in this chapter was I felt like Neale said, if you're sort of on your soul's correct path, everything will come to you, you know. And I don't think that like the cars and the money and that kind of success necessarily, but like what has come to me, because I ain't got nothing, but I'm grateful I have everything, you know. And that's what's come to me, is peace and so much love and generosity from people. And you know, my life is really getting to be heaven on earth, which, you know, Linda will tell you that's the point of this whole thing. And reading this chapter, you know, it's just like I can feel that. Anyway, over. Thank you.
Can I add one thing, because
Mirko, no. I sometimes like to hold hand, but yeah, then it would also be nice if it would be fit in. Okay, I just think that, yeah, for me the whole problem starts when I jump out of the mechanisms, something happens outside and I am not fully aware and I'm not centered, then I start to react. And I think that's the big problem. I think if I can step back and see the whole situation and find out what I can learn with it, or what, yeah, then I think it's even, then it's more heaven on earth than when I start to react. I'm complete.
Thank you. Mirko, you want
I've
to?
got something to say. If
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think
what
that
I'm
this book,
wondering, you know, from
Go ahead, Anne.
sorry, just a minute, Mirko. Just what I wonder from what you said is that I wonder if competition comes from insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
competition
you know,
comes from-
especially if you're talking about, like, when Mirko said something about you've got to sort of compete for that woman. I really hated that when I realized people were doing things like I was some bar of chocolate or something. I thought, don't they realize that it's the quality of the person that would attract? It isn't their car or their bank balance, but if it was, it wouldn't be on a good foundation, that, you know, because that wouldn't be a relationship. So to be secure in yourself would be attractive to me. I'm just saying, I wonder if competition is an insecurity. That's it.
And it's the scarcity model. Competition comes from the scarcity model, which is
There's not enough.
prevalent everywhere.
Right.
Mirko, what did you want to add before?
I agree that that security or self-trust is attractive, but the example of woman was only an example for me, because what I like to say to you is the same thing that I say to Neale, that the experience to lose everything and everyone that I had wasn't a bad thing, because like the chapter we read a moment ago, he said that we are raised up with the belief of you have to get the car, the job, the girl, or the guy, and if you don't have this, you are nothing. This is a cultural story that we are living in also today, because for in example, there are women, for example, that are saying that when women know that you and another men are competing for her attention, they in some cases they are playing with this competition, and they are saying that they like only the best. And so in your mind comes the question, and you say to yourself, you say, who is the best? Me or the other? And I think that is like I said before, that this is the wrong question, because as I realize, when I lose everything, I survive. I still survive without anything, without anyone. I simply restart my life, but I am still here now. So I think that the agenda of our soul is has nothing to do with get, like say the chapter, no? Nothing to do with get the girl, get the money. So has nothing to do with the competition, because you already have what you are searching for. This is probably the answer of this meeting. You already have what you think you need. You have. And and the chapter say, seek first the kingdom of heaven, and then everything will be added. So you already have the kingdom, and everything else is added, is not needed, is added.
Right.
This is for me the answer.
Right.
Okay, well, we could go on, and I love everybody's comments, so don't misunderstand me, but we're running a little bit over. And I was going to ask Mary if she would do a quick closing for today's
Always,
gathering. Thank you, Mary.
whenever wanted. Thank you, universe, life, everything, the all in all, for bringing us all here together to join in this teaching and learning moment about these fascinating questions about what we're here on earth for, here on this heaven on earth, and how if we can be present to the part of ourselves that is the all in all, our soul up on the mountaintop, and bring that awareness into our everyday life, and realize that, you know, at that level, the soul level, it's one soul in source. So competition is meaningless because we're only competing with ourselves. And separation is an illusion in 5D. In 3D, we need things to survive, you know, for this body. And yet even that, the body doesn't die, it merely changes form. But once we have peace of understanding that everything that's meant for us is ours already, and whatever's not meant for us, you know, that's someone else's, and we don't have to worry about it. And the universe can be incredibly generous with responding to our actual needs once we quit throwing up the barriers of resistance and competition. and embrace the love of the all in all, the abundance that's all around us with the trees and the flowers and the air that we breathe, and the amazing gifts of this earth that we live on, and of the people who enrich our lives, like in places like this circle where we're all learning to embrace our true nature of heavenly beings here on earth. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Hmm.
And thank you, Mirko and Joanne.
Thank you.
Evelyn
you.
and Ariana, Kirsten, Bima, and thank you, Linda, for reading. And Mary, you did a very nice closing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We will see each other next week,
Yeah.
and we can continue this conversation about acting on instinct and which instinct are we following?
I think that baby in the burning building story is so powerful
I do too.
to disconnect that survival model, you know. I think it's so powerful.
I do too. Okay, I love you all. We will see each other next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
Uh,
Mwah.
Thank you. Bye.